From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Brayden Neville.
On today's episode, Levi Mitchell joins the show to discuss the Ticats offense preparing for the 2024 season. He lets us know how his offseason has gone and more. Ticats quarterbacks coach Jarryd Baines joins the show as he gears up for another year with the Cats and his first as the team's quarterbacks coach. And receivers coach Naaman Roosevelt is mic'd up at the CFL Combine. It's Monday, March 25th, 2024, and this is Ticats Today. Some great guests on today's show, but before we get to that, the CFL Combine finished up yesterday, and the final coaches' picks were made for the day. And the guy who was perhaps the biggest story of the day, Jack Zergiotis, quarterback from John Abbott College last year, absolutely had a day slinging the ball, showing off his huge arm strength and impressing scouts from all 9 teams, and even earned a tweet from Levi Mitchell himself, who was tuned in. So definitely improving his draft stock, a guy a lot of teams will have their eye on come time for the CFL draft. And be interesting to see where he falls. I'm sure there's a lot of teams that would love to have a young quarterback, a young Canadian quarterback with the upside that this kid could potentially have. Clements, a linebacker out of Nebraska, was the defensive coach's pick. So a lot of guys showing out yesterday and a lot of guys showing out throughout the week in what was a very, very successful CFL Combine. Ticats receivers coach Naaman Roosevelt was there to watch it all go down firsthand, and he just so happened to be mic'd up.
Come on. Get down to that break. Emphasize coming. There you go. Woo! There you go. Get down there. Get down there. There you go. Good job. Ooh. Stay off the furniture. So if I got a corner ball, I'm keeping it high, right? Where I'm aiming. Front pylon. Okay. So if I'm running, if the guy is 5 to 6 yards off, if I'm sticking him, boom, resetting my stem, boom, and keeping it high. So that's all we're doing. If the guy is right here at 5 yards, we give him a move. We give him a move. Don't get wide. Reset that stem. Stay on that stem. Even if he bump you, get on him. Boom. And keep it high as you can. I just don't want you guys getting bumped and then going to the corner ball. I want you to get your depth first and then go to the corner ball. You got what I'm saying? It's look like a post right now, but I just want you to reset it. That's it. Reset that stem. There you go. There you go. Nice. There you go. Keep it high. There you go. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's all I want you to do. Good eyes. Good eyes. And what the eye is going to do, too, if I'm looking right at you, the eye is going to freeze you. It's called hypnotize. I want to hypnotize you. What that's going to do? Now he don't know. He like, I don't know where he's going to go. You know what I'm saying? Looking dead in his eyes. Yep. Dead in my eyes. There you go. There you go. Woo! Nice. Good route. Everybody feeling all right? Okay, let's go. Good job, man. Good job, boy. What we talk about? Focus, right? Let's focus. Let's go. That's good.
I'll play it wild, but I can also play some slot too.
Okay, we can see some slot too. No, we can see some slot too. Yeah. I want to see you do both. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That was the receivers coach for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Naaman Roosevelt. And if you want to watch that full mic'd up video, you can check it out on CFL.ca. It was really cool to see how he interacted with some of those younger players. And I mean, the guy had multiple 1,000-yard receiving seasons, so it's not a bad guy to learn a thing or two from. Levi Mitchell is a guy looking to have a big year this year. He dealt with those injuries last year, but seems like he's feeling a lot better, and he's looking to make a big impact on the black and gold this season. The future Hall of Famer sits down with me for the first time this offseason ahead of what him and Ticats fans hope will be a big year for this offense. Bo, great to finally get you on the show, man. How you been doing?
Great, man. It's been good. Glad to be here. I know it took us a while, but, I'm glad we finally got it done.
You're a busy man, so I try not to bother you too much. It's great to get you on here. What does this offseason look like for you? How's it been so far for you?
Man, it's been amazing. I'm trying a lot of new things this offseason. One is essentially just working out every day, which at 34 has been nice, man. It's
yeah.
I've been with Marcellus Bowman every day, and just having him there to push me. And I think the biggest thing about, us as professional athletes, we can motivate ourselves, we can push ourselves in a workout. But when, let's say something's kind of bothering you, your hamstring's kind of tight from running, or, your quad sore from squats the day before, you could have something in your workout that day and be like, you know what, it kind of hurts, kind of bothers you. Like, I'll just pull off of it, right? Like, I'll be safe, I'll be smart, I'll be a professional. And that's just not a good, push yourself mentality. So this offseason for me has been very forward driven and focused on, pushing myself past some limits, and having Marcellus there to do that at times. He's so, first of all, he's intuitive, but he's so smart when it comes to, all right, that movement hurts because of yesterday, but you know what? I have a different idea of an accessory workout I want to do where we're going to attack that same muscle, but do it in a different way. And it's just one of those things like where you just kind of show up every single day. And I think the progress each day has just been, it's been amazing to kind of feel. And then I can see all of a sudden, the beginning of the offseason, he looks at me, he's like, man, I gotta work out with this 34-year-old kid every day. And there's been a lot of good conversations. I think I'm starting to see a couple smirks and smiles from him when he sees me running and moving well.
So, you said you're lifting weights every day. So you've changed that part of your training regimen, basically? Yeah,
I used to be, I think, you come out of college and you're still doing so many Olympic lifts. And man, honestly, the narrative changes every year, which is, here's what's good this year. You should be squatting as much as you possibly can. You see Saquon, you see these guys throwing up, 6-7 plates.
Crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, Jalen Hurts, the tush push, like the guy's throwing up like 600-pound squats.
That's insane.
Yeah, but with quarterbacks, man, I swear the narrative changes every year. It's like, oh, you should be doing bands, and oh, you should be doing weighted ball throws, and oh, you shouldn't do any of that. You should just be throwing football. And I think it has a lot to do with who's the MVP of the NFL that year. How do they train? For so long you saw Tom Brady and the way he trains with Tom House back in the day. It was very push, stay tall front leg, and come high over the top. And now you see with everybody wants to be like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, which is very rotational. That Joe Burrow, that Matt Stafford, like rotational, being able to throw from different arm slots. And I think it's cool to see, but at the same time, like in my mindset when it came to working out every day, it was like no matter what, just put the weights every day to get the body to a point where I'm not worried about aches and pains, not worried about things nagging me or groin pull or things like that, but just pushing my body to a different limit at a higher age that some might like to say. So just making sure I feel good going into the season.
Is there anything like recovery wise that you're doing that might be different as you get older and later in your career?
Yeah, you know what? I was so naive to how much protein I really was supposed to be taking. I just always fell into like this, like when I'm 24, 25, you work out, you look yourself in the mirror, like, damn, I look good. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'll drink a protein shake or I'll have a protein bar on the way to, my next thing. And then, the research comes out, the studies come out, and it's like, you're supposed to be having, a gram of protein for every pound of body mass. Yeah. I'm like, man, that's 200 grams. I'm like, man, that's crazy. Even if I double scoop protein, which would give me 40, and I double that and have 2 shakes a day, that's 80. I still got to eat 120 grams of protein. You start doing the math on like, ground beef, chicken, eggs, like I'm getting only 12 grams in an egg. Like you start pushing yourself to like eat that much protein. You try to eat as much as you can. It's I think recovery wise, one thing Marcellus basically showed me was, how under supplemented I was. I wasn't taking magnesium. I wasn't taking zinc. I wasn't taking collagen. I wasn't taking creatine. I was taking, maybe a protein shake a day. So I think with him just thinking like, hey man, like let's put nutrition and let's put your supplements as like your main priority of what you do every single day. It's like just making sure that I have my lunch prepared so I'm not finishing a workout and now I'm like, okay, I have an hour. What am I going to do for lunch? It's making sure you have good, proper, whole food and just being able to properly nutrition myself. And I think recovery wise, like that's something that's made me feel, just so much better.
Yeah. And this off season, how do you feel it's gone for you? Like, how are you feeling right now as we get closer to training camp, your body and everything like that?
Man, I feel good. I don't want to overpromise anything. Always talk a lot about that. Right. But I feel good. I'm ready to go.
There's a big piece coming back here. And what was your reaction when you heard that Tim White was also going to be returning and you're going to be playing with him again?
Yeah. I think I was holding my breath there for a while, right? Like,
I think we all were. That's for sure.
I think everybody in this organization, himself included, knows what he means to this organization. I don't think at any point that Ed and Scott were trying to put forward or like, the advantage that he doesn't mean a lot. I think they were always telling him what he means to this organization. And I think, business wise sometimes, man, like it's always a crappy place to be sometimes where you value yourself so much. And in the previous years, you've seen some guys get some numbers. It's hard not to be like, okay, well, then that's the number I deserve. That number changes every year, which is drastic sometimes. And not only that, it can bother you to be like, man, well, why did this guy get this much and I'm not getting that much?
True.
I just led the league in receiving, right? Like, and it's a part of the game. I know some quarterbacks probably felt like that the year that, Mike and I signed for, 600-700. And I think the next year, a lot of the quarterbacks fell back down to like 5. So, I mean, it's cyclical. It kind of keeps happening. It goes over and over. Like, it's lucky on timing of when that actually happens. For Tim, it was a little bit more of a down year on how high they paid receivers, but I think Tim got what he was looking for. And I think the biggest thing for us as an offense is we have that guy that we trust in one-on-one situations, a guy that can go up and make big plays. And to me, man, in the locker room, in the weight room, on the field, like, there's not a better leader when it comes to a receiver. Like, he's not the most vocal guy in the world, but he doesn't have to be. I know it sounds cliche, but you watch the guy walk through on day 4 before games, he runs every single route. Like when me and Matt were playing, like, Taylor's on the side, and dude, I swear, Taylor went through like a full game day of throwing to Tim because Tim wanted every single route. Like, you watch those guys on day 4. Yeah. On day 4, guys are jogging, they're chilling, they don't want to pull anything. Like, no, that's like when Tim works. So, man, we're excited to have him back. We know it's a very big deal to us, and I think everybody in the offensive and defensive side of the ball smile a little bit more at Tim Whiteside.
When that's going on, when there's guys you're waiting to hear if they re-sign, are you reaching out to them, or are you kind of just letting that whole process play out as it does?
I've done both. I think with Tim, I created a relationship with Tim last year over the free agency period because I had kind of signed, and then he was, again, in that, negotiation period of what he was doing and the number he was trying to get. And, I just told him, like, hey, man, I'm going to come in and give you everything I have to try to make you a better receiver. I want you to make me a better quarterback, and ended up working out. And then this year, in my mind, I was like, let me just, stay out of it. I always hit the guys up like, hey, man, like, I hope things are going well. I hope you're coming back. Like, obviously, if you have to do something else, I understand, but just know that everybody in this building loves you and we want you back. You know what I mean? I think it's always important to reach out to the guys, even if it's in a small way, and it's not, you're not trying to be a catalyst for either side, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not like, hey, man, like, I know Ed and Scott want you. We need you here, like, let those guys, the agent, and Ed talk, and then just let Tim know, like, how bad the quarterbacks and everybody wants him back.
There's one receiver that's been making strides every year, Keandre Smith. It seems like each season he's getting better and better. But what have you seen from him in his growth last year, and what do you think he's able to bring to this next season and make that next step?
Yeah, man. Keandre is a guy that I think the more and more targets he gets, the better he's going to get.
Yeah.
Canadians are always going to be underused at times because you're going to have your 1 or 2 big American receivers. You're paying a lot of money. And in this game nowadays, like, you got to do the math and kind of figure out, like, all right, how many targets does Tim need in order to make sure that we're successful as an offense? How many touches does James Butler need to make sure that we're successful as an offense, right? Mm-hmm. And you start taking those away from how many touches do we have per game.
Yeah.
So you start divvying those kind of all up. And sometimes you're getting the third, fourth reads anyways. But the one thing about Keandre, man, last year when I would look to sign, I was watching film of all the receivers. And, they're telling about Tim, and I'm watching him. I'm watching Terry. I'm watching, AJ. And I was like, 85 just kept sticking out to me. I was like, this guy, especially when he had the ball in his hands. Like, I love the fact, I love guys that are aggressive and physical once the ball's in their hands. And I think he does a damn good job, being on the outside, not getting as many touches, but he takes advantage of those. And then when those moments come that, like that Toronto game, the tip ball falling back, like,
that was crazy.
Big, right? Like, those moments are never too big for him. And it seems like he wants that and kind of thrives off of it, because as soon as he makes a play like that, he comes, he's like, dude, trust me, I can do it. You know what I mean?
He wants it.
It's a good feeling to have as any quarterback or even a play caller, where you're like, man, I've got a guy that looks at himself as a number 1 receiver as a Canadian, which is, everything you want.
Exactly. Another Canadian receiver coming over, a guy that you know very well, Luther Hakunavanu. But what is it like getting him and having him come over here from Calgary? Yeah, I know, man. Hey, it took me like 10 or 12 takes. I practiced it when he first signed, but I think I've got it locked down now. But what's it like getting
3 or 4 years? It's all right.
Spelling it now is the issue. So that's the part I got to get next. But what's it like having him come over here?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's had, even just in my career personally, he's had a lot of big plays for me. And he's made a lot of big plays in Calgary in general since he came in. There's a funny story. It was a BC game. And, we were playing BC, and it's definitely not a knock on their DBs, because their DBs are amazing. but they had Marcus Sales and they had TJ Lee. And I just kept pointing out to Dave. I'm like, listen, these guys are great technique wise. I was like, but Luther is 6'4", 6'5", and can jump out of the gym. I was like, when we get to the red zone, I was like, let's stop making it so difficult, man. Like, let me just throw this guy a jump ball. I was like, hey, if they stop it, they stop it. But let's see. Yeah. Let's not just assume they're going to make this before they actually do. And sure enough, I think first or second drive, we drive down there, throw him a little kind of jump ball post. The DB didn't even have time to technically even turn around before he was already up in the air and catching it, at 8, 9, 10 feet. And I think that's the fun thing as a quarterback. Like when you think about the basketball goal being at 10 feet,
that's crazy.
I love telling the receiver, like, hey, I'll meet you at the basket. I'll meet you at the rim. You know what I mean? Like,
the alley-oop.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you go out there and finish the job. When you have a guy that can do that, it always creates problems for a defense, because then they have to think about, okay, well, are we allowed to go man? And if we do go zone, then who's our high guys? Because if our high guys are small guys, they're going to throw this guy a jump ball. They're going to throw Orange a jump ball. Like, the bigger you get a receiver, sometimes it creates a lot of problems for teams in red zones. And I think that's definitely a plus that Luther brings over.
Yeah, he's definitely got that length and that reach, and an awesome dude. Getting to know him. Season opener is against Calgary in Calgary. He'll be in that game. You'll be in that game. Is that obviously one that's been marked for a while now?
Yeah, well, I think it was a misstep by, the league not making that happen last year. But now maybe they knew the script before I did that I was going to be in
it. The script's been out. Yeah,
the script's been out. I guess the CFL is following the NFL's footsteps. No, I'm excited for it. I think anytime you're able to kind of go back to a spot you've played, a vast amount of your career in, you look forward to those moments. And I think, something I know Scott's going to be cautioning me on, and I've already cautioned myself on, and just kind of keeping the blinders on and stay focused on the job is, don't try and do too much, right? Go out there and run the offense the way it's supposed to be run. I trust Scott and everything he does. And I think, that's a big one that I know he'll probably sit down and have a conversation with me for a second, because he's probably got the stories of Ricky going back to Edmonton, whatever it might be. But I'm just looking forward to game one and getting there.
I know I'm going to be the first one to ask you about that, but you're probably going to get millions of those questions come time for that game. But I figured I'd be the first guy to ask you about it. And I have to ask you about this next guy, a guy that you've gotten to know very well. He was on the show last week talking about how much you've meant to him. Yes. Taylor Powell. But what have you seen from him and his growth over the last year?
First of all, let's get one thing straight.
Yeah, you can rebuttal on what I think.
Because he lied on your show.
Okay.
But last week he said I never beat him in golf. And that's, first of all, it's an outlandish statement. He is a hell of a golf player. He is. He's got a great swing. He practices a lot. The first time we go out, we get to 18, and it's a twosome. It's me and Gigi versus him and Tyler.
Okay.
Tonowski. And I hit into the bunker on my second shot, and I think he's a little bit over the green, kind of on the fringe. Yeah. Anyways, he chips up. He has about an 8-foot putt for par. I go out of the sand to about like 12, 15 feet. So I've got to putt first. So we're both putting for par. He's at 8 feet. I'm at like 15. So I go in. I sink the 15-foot putt. So now it goes from him like having any pressure at all, right? So then he goes up, doesn't even touch the hole, right? So he outright loses the hole, and then blames his teammate Tyler. He's like, well, you're not even in the stratosphere. And it was just so great because I was like, but you're the one that missed that putt. But honestly, since he's played a lot of good golf, and he's I tell you what, man, he's one of those guys that, and you can see it the same like with his throwing motion. Like he practices so much, and he's very, very like technically minded that it'll be the smallest little thing. He's like, hey man, like God, I feel like I'm you'll see him walking around the stadium. I feel like I'm just dipping a little bit on my driver. I don't really know why. I don't do the same thing. He's like, I feel like it's on my throw, like so I mean it's awesome, man. He spoke about our relationship, we're as close as can be. And, just he's the kind of guy you want around the locker room. You know what I mean? Like he clicks with everybody. He understands the game. He understands, he wasn't going to come in and try to be overly vocal and try to take things over. Like he's very humble in what he does. He's raised by two amazing parents that have taught him a lot of, great life lessons. And you can see that every day when you just talk to him. But he's got a great head on his shoulders, and he's one of those guys. Like I know he said, like I call him a book snob because he's always like he'll just kind of send you a picture every day of a book and a coffee, and it's just we have a lot of fun. Our room is always going to be a very good one because of our relationship. But on the field, off the field, just the kind of guy you want around.
And how many coffees a day is that guy drinking? And we always hear about the coffee thing, but how many is he crushing a day?
6. It's got to be
6.
I mean,
that's crazy.
Oh yeah, he has to run to the bathroom twice, a meeting.
Oh man! And whenever he had that, when you went down with injury and Matt was down with injury, when he got pushed into being the starter, what was that like for you? And how much was he talking to you on a daily basis and asking questions about what he should or shouldn't be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about Taylor is, he's ahead of his years. Is he was asking those questions before that happened?
Yeah,
right. Like it was training camp, and it was kind of I don't want to say dog days of training camp because those are kind of gone now. Like it's not as long as it used to be, and we don't have really double days anymore. But there was a point where I think Tommy gave us the meeting off. And he was like, "Hey, you guys go grab some food or whatnot." And I was like, "Let me just connect with Taylor." So, hey, jump in my car. I was like, "Let's go grab a burger and just chat." And he said he had told me, he's like, "Hey, I want to ask you some questions. Hey, what do I have to do to last a long time in this league?" And right from the beginning, I think it was just maturity, what I saw as far as understanding, hey, let me talk to a veteran and just kind of see, hey, what was your path? And I understand my path might not be exactly the same, but, the more, and you can, if you follow him on Instagram and, he's posted about Zach Caleros, Trevor Harris, Vernon Adams, like guys that he's tried to, become friends with over the last, year playing these guys and just kind of pick their brains. Like that's who he is. Like if he's around you long enough, he's going to pick your brain about something that you're good at, like Matt Shields is very good financially. Like he has a lot of investments and whatnot in real estate, but he, Taylor was always picking his brain about that. And it's just, you see that and it's smart, right? Like it's he's a guy that's ahead of his years and a guy that's, fun to be around. And not only that, but what I saw the moment he stepped on the field, I think there was this moment, I think it might've been right after that touchdown run, but he was running back and just the way he looked at the crowd kind of jumped up and flexed.
I was the flex. I
mean, you have to have this inner belief that I don't care what Brayden thinks. I don't care what Bo thinks. I don't care what Joe Blow in the stand thinks, but I am who I am and I'm going to be that guy to a fault. Right. It's something that's gotten me in trouble in my career at times, but if I don't have that and Taylor doesn't have that, you lose this belief. As soon as someone that you believe in or that you trust in starts to give you any kind of negative criticism, right? Then you're like, oh man, maybe I am missing that throw, or maybe I'm not the guy that I thought I was. You've got to have such an inner belief, and I think he has that. Which, what I've seen, I guess, in 12 years of QBs coming up is they have it a little bit until stuff goes awry, and then you see that start to falter, and the head starts to go down a little bit more, and they tuck the tail between the legs. But I've never seen that with Taylor, and man, just looking forward to continuing to kind of pour into him and keep giving him tidbits of information. But his growth is all of his own and what he's created.
I want to talk a little bit about your relationship with Coach Scott Milanovich and him coming in now as head coach. But what's that like, and then how often are you talking with him?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more now, right? During the season and we're meeting as much as we can, but he's also getting thrusted into a position where it's all right, now I've got to change an offense, but not change an offense too much to where I screw everybody up. But, the relationship starts, for one, from a place of respect, just respect of what he's done in his career as a coach, as a player with different quarterbacks and kind of seeing that from afar. And always as a quarterback, right? I had an amazing coach and play caller in Dave for a very long time. So you're never really wondering what else is out there. But at the same time, you see guys do some great things. You're like, oh man, I'd love to pick that guy's brain. And for me, Scott was always one of those guys. I loved playing him in those early years of Toronto, kind of watching some of the things they did against us, even in the 2012 Grey Cup. But just things he did with, Chad Cackert, Chad Owens, Andre Dury, I just always loved seeing some of the things he did. And I was always like, man, I want to sit down and talk football with him for a while. And you don't get to have that conversation too often during the season when he gets thrust into a position. But this offseason, one thing I started to really take note on is just the way he communicates. It's very direct. It's not a lot of extra BS. It's not a lot of talking extra about it. Once he gets you to understand something and you see it the way he sees it, he wants to move on to the next thing. right?
Yeah.
And every time you talk to him too, dude, it's like, hey, I watched 143 clips yesterday of this one route. Like, let me show you something. Like, it's awesome, like for real. Like,
It's crazy, yeah.
most guys, they watch 5-10 clips to get the look they want. He's going to watch every single clip to make sure he has everything that can possibly go wrong with that play, and then give you the positive, negatives. Like, hey, if it doesn't work, let's get out of it. So the relationship's been great, man. Obviously, like, everybody's going to, bring up the playoff game and everything that happened, but it's something that, we handled behind closed doors, had a great conversation about, again, starting from a place of respect, and then just kind of moved on and started building a relationship from there.
We're now 2 months away, less than 2 months away from training camp. How much is your training ramping up right now as we head into this training camp?
It's a lot, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you go in, year 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever it is. And the longest part about the season seems to be training camp, because what you see every year is you see a receiver go down, a DB go down, and you're just thinking about, okay, I've got to go make 3,000 throws over the next 20 days and throw, just every single day, back to back to back to back to back. And as you get older, you get more sore from things, and you start thinking about that. I've done some things a little bit differently this offseason, and I've switched some things up, and, you can see the the smile on my face. I've been getting upwards of, like 200, 230 throws in a session and not getting sore, and it just feels very, very good. So
that's great.
I'm going to keep at it. Obviously, things aren't perfect. I still have a lot to work on. And the nice thing is, Scott's getting up here soon, and I'm just ready for him to, like, have his eyes on me and show me things like, hey, man, like, this looks good, but, like, it's got to be out a half second faster, or you're trying to get it out a little bit too fast right now. Hold your eyes another, second to here. And just start fine tuning your body to the way, he wants it or needs it for certain things, I think is something I'm, itching to get to happen.
And you also have that familiarity now. Last time you went to training camp, it was kind of all new to you. You were with a new team for the first time. Does it help now that you know the guys around you, this training staff, this coaching staff, and you're used to the city and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it definitely helps, right? Like, I think coming into McMaster last year, like, in Calgary, it was always at the stadium. Like, so you stayed at your house, nothing changed. Going to McMaster, I had just gotten used to the stadium for like the first month or two that I was here. And then all of a sudden now we're at McMaster. I'm at dorm rooms again, eating, great food from them, but still, like, you're navigating everything. So you kind of feel like a rookie at times of, like, because a rookie, hey, Bo, like, hey, where do I go? I'm like, bro, I have no idea. Like,
I don't know where I am.
I have no idea. So, yeah, aren't you like a 12-year vet? I'm like, yeah, but I've never been here before, man. It's like my first year here. So, I'm just navigating that, relationships, like, right, like meeting you, meeting people in the training staff, meeting people with all the media, like, and just making those new relationship connections every single day. I think the familiarity now it's just go out there, play football and lead by example from these guys, and be a little bit more vocal at times when you need to. But definitely looking forward to year 2 of the process.
Funny enough, you mentioned, like, I was the same when I was last training camp was my first training camp with the Ticats in my job. And I remember the first time I actually talked to you, it was media day. And I had to bring you somewhere to, like, a certain floor, and I had no idea where I was going. So me and you were just stuck in an elevator. I think we went up and down like twice. No idea what was going on. But Bo, I'm so do you remember that now? That was
I do.
And I was so embarrassed. I'm like, man, this guy's gonna think I'm an absolute idiot. But you handled it real well, Bo. I appreciate it. But man, it was awesome having you on the show. I definitely want to get you on again before training camp. Great to finally get you on Ticats today, and thanks a lot, buddy.
Yeah, man, Brayden, appreciate it, man. I'll see you at training camp as well.
That was Bo Levi Mitchell. His quarterbacks coach for this year will be a familiar face, Jarryd Baines. He's been in the organization for 6 years, and this year he steps into his new role as the team's quarterbacks coach after spending last year as the team's receivers coach and pass game analyst. Jarryd, thanks for joining me today, man.
Yeah, thanks, Brayden, for having me. I appreciate it.
You're going to be moving into a different role this year. You'll be the quarterbacks coach. Last year, you were the receivers coach and pass game analyst. When did the decision come for that move to happen?
I think it just all came, obviously, with the transition of our staff that happened. It came after that. I had discussed with Scott kind of towards the end of the year of wanting to stick with him and just having my interactions with him towards the end of last season. So there was discussions, but like anything in the CFL, like until the head of the table is set, then everything else kind of gets laid behind it. So it wasn't really till after Scott got settled in that I was 100% confident that I was coming back, and the quarterback role kind of was open. So I was able to slot into there.
How was it getting to work with Scott last year when he came in during the season? I know he was there from the beginning, but when he came in as that offensive coordinator.
It was awesome in the first place, but it was great because we'd had some exposure to Scott in training camp. So it wasn't like my first time meeting him halfway through the year when he came up, but having him come there for training camp and be a kind of an outside guidance for us during training camp was great. And then working him with the season was unbelievable. Like, I think it's tough to deny his past success in this league. He's done it from a player, from a coaching perspective, in multiple leagues. I actually have a ton of friends that have worked with him in the past that said great things about him, and they all kind of came to fruition. So it was really nice working with him last year towards the end of the season.
One of your quarterbacks will be a future Hall of Famer in Bo Levi Mitchell. How do you go about coaching a guy who's been in the league and a veteran of so many years?
Yeah, definitely don't overcoach him. I think he's extremely, extremely smart, extremely switched on to his reads and what he needs to do as a quarterback to be successful in the CFL. I just think with Bo and with all the quarterbacks, you just need to kind of make things succinct, make things carry forward through concepts, and try to make it as easy as possible on them so it can kind of become second nature for them. So, with Bo specifically, don't overcoach him, make things succinct, and just kind of let him do his thing. That's pretty much it.
What is it about how he plays and how he sees the game that's made him so successful over these years?
Yeah, I think you can't deny his arm strength still. Like, he still has a great arm. And I think that gets overlooked sometimes. Obviously, I just talked about his smarts and his ability to see the field and understand coverages and understand what he's getting from defenses. Like, that's second to none. It really takes a lot of seasoning to be able to get to that level. So I think that's something, the other quarterbacks are going to be probably a little bit behind just because of the experience in the league. But his arm, his smarts, I think still his athletic ability is underrated a little bit. We're not going to ask him probably to do too many quarterback draws or anything, but I still think as an athlete inside the pocket, I still think he's vastly underrated in protecting the football and moving up in the pocket and avoiding pressure. So I think those three things, definitely stand out and will definitely, help him in his, as you said, his spot in the future Hall of Fame.
Is he a guy that you're always keeping in contact with? You're texting or talking throughout the offseason?
Yeah, he's local, so it's a lot easier to stay in contact with him. We can't do a ton of, because of the regulations, we don't do a ton of coaching. Like, they're not really coaching in the offseason. But in terms of staying in contact, it's been really easy with us just because he's been local. So, but definitely, like, we stay in contact through text, through a phone call every now and then. But it's fairly easy because he stayed local to Hamilton, which is nice. So he's able to throw with some of our receivers that have stayed around. I think they got a pretty group that throws either in Hamilton or Toronto once or twice a week.
The other quarterback, we will have Taylor Powell, a guy who came into the league last year. I don't think people were expecting him to play as much as he did, but he did, and he handled himself pretty well. But what do you see from him, and what kind of strides he could make for this next year even?
Yeah, he's extremely confident in himself. Again, very smart player, was able to pick up our offense very quickly. Probably more of a quiet, confident leader just because he was younger. I think he'll probably get a little more vocal this year. But extremely talented arm in that he can throw it from a lot of different arm angles. Very, very quick release. Again, like Bo, unassuming athleticism. Not the biggest guy, but like he'll be able to escape the pocket, and he'll on a second and long, he'll get a 15-yard runoff, and just like, where did that come from? Yeah. But unassuming athleticism, very like special arm angle talent. And with him too, is I think he was just, and why he succeeded when he was in there, I think he was able to learn the playbook quickly, because he wasn't even there for the start of training camp. I think he was probably a week into training camp. So he kind of was late to camp, and he really did a good job like digesting the book, being able to take what was in there, and he didn't overcomplicate things. He took what was given, made the easy reads, made the easy throws, and along with his special arm talent of being able to get it off at any angle, I do think he's very accurate as well. So I think that helps him a lot.
Do you see him as a potential starter in this league, a guy who could be one of those solid guys as a starting quarterback?
Definitely. No, there's definitely no reason for him as he continues to grow that he can't be a starter in this league. And I think the experience he'll get, with a full year under Scott's kind of tutelage, and again, being able to learn from Bo will be a huge help. And I think this is, there's nothing but up for Taylor in the future for the CFL.
A potential QB3 is Kevin Thompson, a guy who had really good numbers at Sacramento State. Some time in the CFL, he dealt with those injuries. But what's the scouting report on him?
Yeah, very athletic. He's a little bit bigger than the other quarterbacks we have in size, but good arm, a little more athletic, probably more traditional athleticism. Has been in the CFL before, which is always great. Just a feel for the movement and the motions of the quarterback and the timing to send them. It's always good. But I think he's just going to come in and be a versatile weapon. In my conversations with him, again, he seems like a very sharp guy. A lot of these quarterbacks nowadays seem to have learned 3 or 4 different offenses in college. And I think he's one of those cases as well. And I think Harrison Frost is also the same, where they've learned 4 or 5 offenses. So, getting a new one into their vernacular shouldn't be too difficult. So I'm really excited to work with Kevin, as well as Harrison, who's just, I know you didn't mention him, but he's coming off a little bit of a coaching stint, so he caught the bug. But he's found his way back to the playing field, which we're excited about.
I want to get your take on this young quarterback. We had the CFL Combine over the weekend. Jack Zergiotis, he was turning some heads. Bo Levi Mitchell tweeting about him. You're seeing guys in the CFL notice what he was doing out there yesterday. What did you see from him?
Yeah, big, strong arm.
Very strong.
A little bit of film of him just through his time in college, and that was represented. He looks like a very confident thrower in the pocket. You just don't see a lot of quarterbacks that are Canadian that are built that way. So I'm very excited to see, hopefully he can land on a team and then just grow. I don't know if he's ready right now to start. That's always going to be tough for any Canadian quarterback, but I'd like to see him get in the CFL, get an opportunity for a year or 2 of seasoning, and then hopefully find his way as a starter in the league. But he's definitely big, and he can throw the football, there's no doubt.
Are you noticing Canadian quarterbacks, you're starting to see that position advance in the country? Like you're starting to see more talent coming out of Canada in terms of the quarterback position?
Definitely at the quarterback position. I think you can look at just sometimes the easiest measure is like what the players were putting in the NCAA. But also you can look at just the talent year over year at the draft and coming out of the draft. I think the rule changes when they slightly adjusted those a few years ago, I think those definitely help. But it's even as I look back and as I study some players in the draft, you look at the talent out this year, and the quarterback position is good. There's a couple guys, but just across the board, the talent is really special this year. And I think it's Canadian talent across all positions. And that's a credit to not just, the players. That's a credit to the coaches in Canada and stuff like coaching clinics and minor football coaches being willing to attend those. I think that speaks a lot to that stuff. I think there's other prep programs that have done a good job, and the whole pathways to college, whether it's U Sports or whether it's the NCAA, I think that's improved drastically in the last 10 years.
With the draft approaching, how much of right now or how much of your job in this next month is scouting and getting prepared for this CFL draft?
Not much.
Not much? Okay.
I will definitely take a look, and the coaches will offer some advice, not advice. I mean, so we'll give our personnel guys what we feel, and there'll be a discussion about it. To say that I make the final call in the draft would be far-fetched. No, we have a great scouting staff that take care of most of that. We'll be kind of looped into the conversation and be able to offer our thoughts. But we're not the end all be all on that stuff. Those guys are definitely spending a lot more time getting to know the players, getting to know their situations. We kind of just more watch the film and provide some analysis off that.
What do these next couple months look like for you and the rest of the coaching staff? We're getting closer to training camp here.
Yeah, just most of the stuff is finalize the training camp, finalize the playbook. Everyone comes into all the coaches come into town in the next week or two. So, we'll all work together to kind of figure out our game plan for training camp and get familiarized with each other. but it's really just kind of putting the final stamp on things. We've been working hard as a staff this offseason, just to kind of reestablish what our identity is on offense. So that's been really exciting. But these next 2 months is really kind of just dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and just, making that final push for camp. But we're for the most part ready. We just gotta finalize some things, and then we kind of roll into training camp from there.
Well, Coach, I'm looking forward to seeing you and the rest of the coaching staff at training camp. We're getting close here. We're finally going to see some football in the next month and a half, 2 months here. So once again, Coach Jarryd Baines, thanks for joining me today, man.
Thank you, Brayden. Very much appreciated.